Brilliance Audio presents Managing and Leading People Through Organizational Change, the Theory and Practice of Sustaining Change Through People by Julie Hodges, performed by Amanda Dolan. There are many driving forces that trigger the need for change. These forces arise from the external and internal environment in which an organization operates. Organizational change is about content, process, and context. Change can be incremental or transformational. Transition is the process that an individual goes through in adapting to the change. Planned change is deliberate, a product of conscious reasoning and action. In contrast, change sometimes unfolds in an apparently spontaneous and unplanned way. This type of change is known as emergent change. Organizational change has traditionally been viewed as either-or proposition, either process-driven to create economic value for stakeholders, Theory E, or people-driven to develop an open, trusting corporate culture, Theory O. Sustainable change is process-driven and people-driven. When an organization becomes incapable of looking outside, reflecting on success and failure, accepting new ideas, and developing new insights, it decreases its customer focus and costs increase. If unchecked, the ultimate outcome of this trap of success can be the death spiral. Introduction. The aim of this chapter is to provide an overview of the nature and the context in which change operates. The chapter begins by examining what triggers change in organizations by reviewing some of the external and the internal drivers of change. The definitions of the key concepts that are used in the book, including change, transition, and transformation, are then presented. This is followed by an overview of the theoretical perspectives of the different types of change that organizations may experience, such as planned and emergent. The chapter concludes by examining how leaders and managers can recognize the need for change. Key questions are addressed, such as what triggers change? How can change in organizations be classified? What happens when organizations ignore the need for change? Should change be process-driven or people-driven? Learning outcomes. By the end of this chapter, you will be able to appreciate the complex nature of change in organizations, critically evaluate the theoretical perspectives relating to the types of change that organizations may experience, evaluate the potential need for change, identify the most appropriate approach for change in an organization in which you work or one that you are familiar with. Context. Organizations operate in a dynamic, diverse environment and are being transformed by a multiplicity of factors. All sizes of companies are now internet-enabled and access markets across geographical boundaries. All types of joint ventures and alliances are being created between different organizations in different countries. Private and public companies now have multiple interfaces in multiple locations. New entities are emerging with international organizations based on a combination of initiatives: non-governmental, charitable trusts and foundations, and philanthropy-based. Multinational companies are now bigger, more diverse, and have multiple locations in different regions, with a diverse range of employees and customers. There is now greater reach and interdependency across geographies and cultures. Along with this, there is a greater focus and scrutiny on governance, ethics, and sustainability. Shifting ownership models and domicile realities are calling for different controls and legislation that challenge national taxation and corporation accountability, and different funding models are increasingly being used, such as crowdfunding and crowdsourcing. All in all, organizations have become more complex whilst becoming more transparent. They have become more interconnected whilst becoming more technology-driven. And they have become more democratic whilst becoming more accountable.